as they headed out to the polls here yesterday. Jenna?
Casey, thank you.
For more on this, let's bring in Mercedes Schlapp, GOP strategist and former spokesperson for President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Also with us, Doug Dornell, former spokesman for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, former communications director for Maryland Congressman Chris Van Hollen. Welcome to both of you. Mercedes, let's start with you. You have said this is class warfare for the Republican Party. What do you mean?
That's right. Well, this is about the political class of the GOP versus this massive part of the electorate of the GOP that are feeling that they have been left behind. This is where the angry voters come out and have running the show, and they're not pleased with how the results have been. They feel that they have been carrying the backs of this country, and so you are seeing this response. And the one that has been able to really resonate with them, for the most part, has been Donald Trump.
Is there some of that same anger, Doug, in the candidacy or propelling the candidacy of Bernie Sanders?
Absolutely. There's a lot of anger, frustration at Wall Street, at big corporations, at the way that the system, people feel like the system isn't working for them. And Bernie Sanders has been able to tap into that, and I think you've seen Secretary Clinton pivot as well and tap into that a bit as well. I don't think it's as strong as it is on the Republican Party, but it is motivating young folks.
I want you both to take a look at them. They are the Republican and Democratic turnout in the races so far compared with turnout in 2008. In Iowa, Republican turnout up 57%, Democrats down by 27%. New Hampshire up 19% on the Republican side, Democrats down by roughly 13%. South Carolina up 71% on the Republican side. I'm just going to keep flashing these statistics on because when you go through last night's states, I mean, those first four are not an aberration. You look at Alabama, up 51% on the Republican side. Go down to Massachusetts, 23% on the Republican side. Minnesota, 79% up on the Republican side. Mercedes, is that all about Donald Trump, or is this an anti-Democrat vote? How do you see it?
I think it's a combination of factors. The fact that there's this disconnect between the GOP establishment and the rest of the GOP electorate, it is clear that they are enthusiastic. They want to make sure that we do not bring in another Democrat in the White House. And the fact that they're willing to take a risk with one of these potential outsiders right now, with Trump being the one that I think is bringing out a lot of these voters who have felt, John, that their voices have not been heard.
Okay, well, I want to stick with you, Mercedes, for a second, because what you're saying is that, okay, Texas, for instance, up 103% in voter participation. Maybe 50% of those people are voting for native son Ted Cruz, but you're also saying 50%, maybe, whatever your number, might be
Right.
Donald Trump.
Absolutely. I think that Donald Trump is what he's been able to do is tap into those voters who maybe had never voted. You know, normally they hadn't voted in past elections, and all of a sudden are saying, wait a second here, I have a guy that I can connect to. He's speaking like he's not from Washington, and we like that. Although for Ted Cruz, obviously in the case of Texas, you know, it's his home state.
Voters stay home come November.
It is a big struggle that the GOP is having right now. I think for the GOP political class, they are waking up from their slumber. They're seeing this nightmare happen in front of their eyes. But at the end of the day, what they're showing right now is that the people are deciding, and we're going to see. It's still not, you know, this is not the final chapter.
Right.
We're still in the middle of the book.
And Doug will probably tell you it's going to be Hillary Clinton anyway. Doug?
Well, what I would tell you is that I think the biggest risk Republicans run right now, what I'm hearing from Rubio and others, is that, you know what, we're going to take this to the convention, right? We're going to allow a bunch of delegates to make a decision on who the nominee is going to be after you have dozens and dozens of states and millions of voters decide that they want Trump. And if they do that, that will, I think, cause irreparable damage to the Republican Party. And look, I love the energy in the Democratic Party. We tend to show up late, look, the Republican Party is very exciting.
in Tennessee compared with 2008. Is
Well,
the enthusiasm
I mean,
all on the Republican side?
I would just point out that, look, there was a phenomenon with Barack Obama in 2008 that it's hard to replicate. But I would say, look, the most important thing for Democrats, once we get past this primary, is turnout on Election Day in November. And I'm pretty confident that based off of previous history, dating back to when Bill Clinton won in '92, that we do a very good job of turning out our voters in November. So that's where I'm looking at. And Democrats got to pay attention to these numbers and make sure that they're connecting and motivating all parts of the Democratic Party so that we turn out.
There does seem to be an enthusiasm gap right now, at least. All right, we're going to leave it there. Doug Cornell, Mercedes Schlapp, thanks very much.
Thank you, John.
Well, from one interesting discussion to another, some new developments in the showdown between Apple and the U.S. government. The tech company now officially filing an appeal over demands that it help with the San Bernardino terror investigation by breaking into an iPhone used by one of the shooters. William Lajeunesse is reporting live from Los Angeles with the latest chapter in all of this. William?
Well, Janet, Apple makes several arguments. The most interesting one was this. The government will be forcing Apple to create software to break into a phone that it neither controls or owns to steal photos and personal information to which it is not entitled. This would set a precedent, Apple says, creating a backdoor making all smartphones more vulnerable to hacking.
The FBI is asking Apple to weaken the security of our products. Hackers and cyber criminals could use this to wreak havoc on our privacy and personal safety. It would set a dangerous precedent for government intrusion into the privacy and safety of its citizens.
I actually don't see that this way. I mean, there are issues about backdoors. This is about, there's already a door on that iPhone. Essentially, we're asking Apple, take the vicious guard dog away, let us try and pick the lock.
Currently, Apple is under court order to open the iPhone of the San Bernardino shooters. Yesterday, it asked the judge to dismiss that because software it claims is like free speech, and the government cannot force a company to create speech it disagrees with. Now, the FBI says the phone contains important evidence, and Apple should not be allowed to put privacy over national security. Two interesting sidebars, Jenna, from yesterday's congressional hearing. Apple told the FBI how it could break into the phone without their help. Secondly, lawmakers said if they are forced to end or solve this standoff with encryption legislation, Apple will not be happy because Congress will not accept
Connection with the killers. I'll tell you what police found when they opened the door to her home. Plus, a freight train hauling chemicals jumps the tracks. We'll have the latest on the cleanup and evacuations after those tanker cars began leaking hazardous materials. Also, we want to hear from you. In light of last night's Super Tuesday results, do you think Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will be the nominees for their respective parties? Our live chat is up and running. Go to foxnews.com/happening now. Is it too late for the other candidates? Join the conversation.
The Fox News GOP debate. Real issues, smart questions. Only one network gets America answers. Watch as Brett Baer, Megyn Kelly, and Chris Wallace moderate.
Washington's out of control. The debt's out of control. Nothing in that story is going to change, so you have to.
The U.S. debt is increasing an average of nearly $2.4 billion. 50/50 for your free preview chapter of Chris Martinson's new book, Prosper.
We're about to enter the greatest financial reset in history. So now is the time for people to invest in hard assets, to get their plan together, and to really understand the context behind what's about to happen.
Call Lear Capital for your preview chapter of Chris Martinson's new book, Prosper, and free report, The Screaming Fundamentals for Owning Gold. Learn how to protect your hard-earned dollars when the debt bomb bursts.
It can't go on forever. And when it bursts, it's going to be the most destructive bubble in all of human history.
This offer ends soon. Call 1-800-452-5050. 1-800-452-5050.
Had periodontal disease, had lost 10 to 12 teeth, a lot of pain, a lot of hiding, a lot of shame. I didn't do a lot of smiling.
Clear choice and say, how can you really do that all in one day? Well, yeah, absolutely. And give you lifelong results you can be proud of. Our doctors use precise technology in a warm, welcoming environment to create your new, healthy smile.
And I'm not afraid to smile anymore. And I have beautiful teeth.
Opportunity to invest in yourself. This is your opportunity to make a difference in your life.
Call today to schedule your free comprehensive consultation, an ICAP 3D imaging scan. We'll even talk financing options while you're here. You're about to discover what you've been missing all these years. Call Clean Choice today. Half price sale, our best sale. Get beautiful floors and professional installation for half price. That's carpet with installation, half price. Hardwood with installation, half price. Tile or vinyl plus installation, half price. And laminate with installation, half price.
Which car I want, and TrueCar shows the range of prices people in my area actually pay for the same car, so I know if I'm getting a great price. I know what one was always meant to be. This is TrueCar.
The Atkins goodness of nuts and fruits with less sugar and carbs than other bars. Delicious? Absolutely. Artificial preservatives, flavors, or colors? Absolutely not. When carb cravings hit back with Atkins new Harvest Trail Bars. Well, now some crime stories we're following here on Happening Now. A North Carolina woman behind bars in connection with 3 violent deaths. Crystal Gambino is charged in the shooting death of her husband, Gio, in a small community outside Charlotte. Police say she could face charges in the fatal shootings of another man and woman also found in the couple's home after a family member asked police to check on them. A former high school teacher from the Atlanta area charged with having a sexual relationship with a student. Julian Parra was a language arts teacher in Gwinnett County, Georgia. The parents of a 17-year-old boy accused her of a relationship after saying they found inappropriate text messages. And Jesse Matthew Jr. expected to plead guilty in 2 Virginia murder cases, according to prosecutors. He's charged with killing UVA student Hannah Graham and in the 2009 disappearance and murder of Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington. Matthew's already in prison for life for the rape of a 3rd woman.
I just heard a loud, almost like I thought like a tornado was coming through. It was just a loud.
Railed last night in the town of Ripley on Lake Erie between Buffalo and Cleveland. A scary scene with chemicals leaking from 2 tanker cars, forcing authorities to evacuate several homes in the area. Laura Engel is on that story and has the latest for us. Laura.
Indeed. You know, for anyone who lives near a rail line, this is always something you have in the back of your mind. The possibility that something could go terribly wrong right in your neighborhood. And for many people last night, that is exactly what happened. Now, 16 of 34 freight cars suddenly left the tracks of an eastbound freight train last night around 9:30 p.m. in the town of Ripley, New York. A Norfolk Southern spokesman tells Fox this morning 2 engineers were on board. Neither were hurt, thankfully. 3 of the derailed cars had hazardous materials. 1 with propane, which did not leak. The other 2 cars containing ethanol did bust open. Those tanks hold up to 30,000 gallons each. One of them lost a gallon a minute out of the damaged area. Residents say they heard that loud, swooshing, screeching noise. Then they actually felt the derailment as it was happening.
First was the house shaking real bad, and then the train derailed over right in front of our house.
All the water is being secured, all the runoff is being retained, and the appropriate measures to take care of that.
Now, rail officials tell us they don't know the cause, but say the making their way out of those local shelters where they had to spend the night on cots. Fire officials tell us the scene probably won't be completely cleared for another 8 hours. Railroad reps say they do want to tell people that they will help them to return to their homes and get the rail line running again, reminding the public these incidents are rare and they are doing everything they can to work safely and thoroughly to get everything back on track.
A night spent on a cot is not a fun night.
No fun.
Yeah, feel for those people. Laura, thank you. Laura Engel.
Well, will he or won't he? Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg's decision on running for president could come soon. Will another billionaire throw his hat into the ring? We'll talk to his advisor.
It happens mighty quick when you really don't have much time to think.
A mesothelioma diagnosis can be emotionally and financially devastating, but you're not alone in the fight. There's a way to help lessen the burden. U.S. compensation trust funds have been established with initial funding of $30 billion. You may be entitled to compensation without ever going to court. So, if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, please contact Johnson Mulgrew for for a complimentary, no-obligation consultation. Johnson Maltby, helping you and those you love.
As women, we carry it here, and I especially carried it here. That just did it. And then it happened. It went from here to here, thanks to Nutrisystem.
Introducing the all-new Turbo 10. Lose up to 10 pounds in your first month, plus 5 inches overall. Lose weight fast, and more energy, and get healthy. You'll love it. Money back guaranteed.
I'm Marie, and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now. With Turbo 10, you'll get delicious meals and 1 week of our all-new Turbo Shakes free. Packed with protein plus probiotics to support digestive health and plus belly bloat. Plus 1 week of our all-new NutriQuest Shakes free.
Nutrisystem today.
Call 888-773-SIGN right now and get the all-new Turbo 10 with 14 shakes free. America is in terrible financial trouble. A new book, National Bankruptcy, Why the Middle Class is Doomed, by best-selling author James Cook, tells it like it is. Find out why our financial downfall is inevitable. Read why we face the worst economic crisis in history. Learn what America is doing to exert ruin. Also, get our new blockbuster book, How Liberals Are Wrecking the American Economy, and what you can do to protect yourself. Yours free to get this crucial information to help you with an economic storm ahead. Call now. Exclusive Paul Ryan speaks out against Obama's immigration action and plan to stop funding undocumented immigrants. The speaker's exclusive interview only on Fox and Friends.
You both have perfect drive, right?
Perfect. I wanted you folks to do truck early.
Yeah.
Now, you would think your insurance company would cut you some slack, right?
Oh, your insurance rates go through the roof. Your perfect record doesn't get you anything.
Anything.
Perfect.
Assist you 24/7. For a free quote, call Liberty Mutual at 1-888-914-5644. Switch to Liberty Mutual and you could save up to $509.
a Christian liberal arts college of about 2,000 students in
Call
Northeast
today
Ohio.
at 1-888-914-5644.
With
Car
an
insurance, a whole new life.
My
Liberty
name is
Mutual
Nicole, and
Insurance.
I'll be your tour guide. Before we get started, let me
A
explain the
Fox
many
Extreme
ways
weather
in which
alert
you
now.
can
One
explore our
community in Alabama picking up the pieces today after terrible destruction overnight by what forecasters say almost certainly was a tornado. At least 4 people injured, about 30 homes damaged southwest of Birmingham. The Red Cross is there assisting storm victims and setting up temporary shelters. Some residents absolutely stunned at what happened.
Students enjoy Haviland's suite-style housing, where 2 rooms are joined by a bath. This hall offers all
Emergency crews conducting house-to-house searches. They say no one is unaccounted for so far.
The quad is the green space where much of
Well, back to some politics now. Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg.
Don't let the stained glass window fool you. This is not our chapel.
Weeks now, he's just been named number 40 on the Forbes list as the world's billionaires. So
Osborne Hall is home to the Malone University Pioneers.
Bloomberg tells ABC News the odds of Michael Bloomberg running for president are, quote, very, very low.
Malone's baseball team plays home games in Thurman Munson Stadium, named for the late Thurman Munson, Canton native and New York Yankee. The facility has seating for 5,000 and a modern
The mayor is going through a process of assessing his interest and his likelihood of success in a presidential race. He has spoken out, I think, pretty articulately, Jenna, about the polarization we've seen in the process on both sides. And I think he is at the point of, reaching the end of his process, but no decisions have been made, at least as far as I know.
So when an unnamed advisor tells ABC News the chances are very, very low, almost zero, you say what?
I say news to me. As I said, the mayor has really pretty carefully been studying the process, the electoral process, the issues, and the challenges he would face personally, given that he runs one of the most successful companies in the world. He's at the end of that process, and I think we'll know something fairly soon.
Okay. How much is this decision about Hillary Clinton?
I'm sorry, how much is I think the decision is really about himself and whether he thinks this is the right time for him to run. He's made it very clear.
Talking about Michael Bloomberg until he has a decision, or perhaps you want to tell us more, Doug, and of course we'll be there for that exclusive whenever the case.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, though, I want to take a look at a little bit about where the campaigns are after last night. And because you're an advisor to potentially competitor to Hillary Clinton, but somebody that watches the Democrat Party, what do you think is the biggest weakness right now in the Clinton campaign moving forward?
A couple of things. There was relatively low turnout yesterday, as there's been before. Hillary Clinton's support is concentrated with African Americans, minorities, and older whites, particularly older white women. So I would say that while Bernie Sanders, I think, won 4 states and caucuses last night, there are some warning signs for Secretary Clinton, even though it was, by all accounts, a big night for her.
Interesting contrast between Secretary Clinton's speech last night and Donald Trump. And since they both sort of talked about each other, I put some sound together. Let's go ahead and run that.
America is strong when we're all strong. And stop being great. We have to make America whole.
She wants to make America whole again, and I'm trying to figure out what is that all about. Make America great again is going to be much better than making America whole again.
Worth pointing out very different events. Hillary Clinton had supporters there. This was a pseudo news conference, half news conference, half supporters of Donald Trump. Who has the stronger message?
I think they both have pretty good messages. Look, I think that if she emphasizes unity, lowering people's voices, and bringing people together as she did last night on the campaign trail, it's a powerful message. Candidly, I don't understand what making America whole means, and Donald Trump's Make America Great Again has clearly resonated with a section of the electorate. At the same time, he has polarized in ways that we saw over the weekend that were quite unfortunate. So I think both have strengths and weaknesses. I suspect whatever happens, it'll be a close election, Jenna.
Just a quick final piece of sound from Donald Trump as well last night, because we did see a different change of tone. That's something we did see. Let's go ahead and play that.
It's been amazing for me, even from an educational standpoint. And I think, honestly, we've done something that almost nobody thought could be done. And I'm very proud of it.
This was coming out of saying that this is a special time for him. His daughter's about to have her 3rd child. This has been a very interesting time for him. And I wonder, as a Democrat watching a change of tone in Donald Trump, Doug, what you think of it, and whether or not you think it could actually be productive after so many weeks and months of a different side of Donald Trump.